Ew. Okay. How's it going, team? How's it going, guys? We are
Good, good.
officially live, and we're going to get started with our pretty chill debate in just a little bit. Today's topic for debate is: do judges who during their confirmation refuse to affirm Biden's 2020 election victory, do they get recalled? Should they be recalled? Is that moral? Is that just? Is it reasonable? If you guys, by the way, in the audience have any questions or you want to come up and just chit chat, feel free. This is kind of open. Just be, respectful, and we will incorporate you. Other than that, who wants to begin? Who wants to give a for or against? I'll devil's advocate.
I mean, I would rather be the devil's advocate if you want to take the affirmative
Hmm.
for
Okay.
either one. I mean, I think Otter was supposed to be on the positive side, but he was apparently
No
having a
worries.
baby.
Then I'll take the foresight. So my general the position that I will be taking is the answer is yeah, we should be recalling these people. One of the most basic requirements for a judge is respect for our institutions, respect for our system, and good judgment. And when you are going out and you're explicitly saying that the many court judges who've presided over Trump's challenges to the election are basically they don't even have the audacity to say I think that Biden lost the election. They actually just kind of chicken out and they just go, "Oh, Biden was installed in 2020," which is indisputably, yeah, that's true. But they refuse to come to terms and they refuse to right? They refuse to actually
Just keep going on about the
they
intruders.
refuse to actually respect the election process. So I think that it's completely fair to say that yes, these people should be recalled. They should be recalled, and although it'll be a very painful process, and there'll be a lot of screaming and discontent from the country, I think it's worth it. We can't have these people with very poor judgment ruling, especially when
Okay.
if the Republicans challenge another election, these people are able to affirm Republican wishes because they were installed by a very awful president.
Okay. So, I would take the position that creating a litmus test for judges limits their discretion, limits the pool of candidates that would want to take a stance on that one way or the other. Even if we all have an opinion that forcing them to make a decision and based on something that's not going to come up again, right? Hopefully, um, kind of sells the. It's kind of like a scapegoat where um, someone can just dismiss a judge they don't like because of this instead of opening up the rest of their judicial intellect to rendering valid judgments. I also think it might be mechanically messy to have all of these different. I mean, is it going to be individual recalls for each judge? How many judges are there? I don't know. There's probably a lot of them, though. Are they all going to receive proper vetting to make sure that these claims that they may or may not have? Um, yeah, so it's like not even them. It's not even them saying that Joe Biden didn't win. It's just them not being on record saying that he did win. Like, so these people are already in place. Are you going to
Yes.
go like survey the judges and make them like check a box, yes or no? I don't know. I think it's a little bit. Well, not a little bit. I think it would be logistically sloppy at best, and probably a lot of good people or people that otherwise wouldn't, have had any reason to be recalled, to get caught up in that net. But also, that's the other thing we were going to discuss, and that is the different methods of recall. And it's not just like instant. We're basically talking impeachment, and then they have to have either, depending on the state, in order to call the General Assembly or the state Supreme Court roll over like an impeachment trial. And how many of those are? I mean, literally the entire courts are going to be backed up for years, when they need to be focusing on other things, just rendering the verdict for whether or not these people should be removed from office. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Someone in the comments said, I think judges should be judged by their ability to judge. I'd love that. I guess that's 4. I would assume that's a 4 comment. But did anyone else have another argument that I want to bring up that they haven't heard, that we haven't spoken about yet? And then we can go in the back and forth.
Never mind. Sorry, I was thinking, was this for or against argument?
So
Either one, just based on your stance.
Yeah, just go back. We're going back and forth, so.
I would say for argument for judges being recalled could certainly be the argument that if you deny an election was fairly done and say that without evidence that X happened or Y happened, it could be certainly argued that you're just not simply arguing on historical basis. Like, the issue is that when you start arguing on points like, hey, we might disagree on something like the Second Amendment, for example, but we like what is the some definitions, but at the very least we could agree that it did actually was like signed in into law and all that. But once you start getting to the point of saying this never even happened, you can start having the arguments. It becomes more like you're not even having a basic fundamental agreement of this happened, but we're going to argue on what it actually means. But yeah, once you kind of get to the argument of it just kind of gets to the point where it's like, yeah, it could be really good judgment on the judge's actual knowledge of the law. But to give some credence, I do kind of concede the argument of logistically it could be pretty hard to do so, especially also judging what we define as them denying that Joe Biden was actually lawfully elected into office. It can be kind of logistically hard to be like, are we going to say that just simply being like spur of the moment saw the election results, be like, damn, I don't know how he got in. Like, are we going to claim that's rejecting the results of the election, or are we going to say it could be kind of messy sometimes, certainly, and I could kind of see some argument for that may be hard, but that's just my opinion, however.
I think it's really
So is
possible
it
to see
only-
who's.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was actually muted on the stream side, so I'll repeat myself. Sorry. I believe that basically it should be pretty easy to tell who is, because during the confirmation hearings, a lot of judges were asked, "Do you believe that Joe Biden had won the election, or who had won the election?" And they were just being extremely evasive. And this is in a legal field, by the way, where like precise words count, and they understand exactly what the question is, and they just refuse to answer. Because obviously it's Trump. It's Trump's appointee. It's Trump's picks and his sycophants. And so the biggest concern that I have is like, I don't want to live in a world where the next presidential election is going to be decided by these federal judges. That sounds terrifying. These are the people who are going to be confirming or denying whether or not Biden had won the election, or whether or not Trump has lost the 2028 election, which he's planning on pursuing.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair, certainly. I think that one world where the principle and the institutions that we have are upheld regardless of what judges is certainly fair. And also, now I think about that is a good thing to say is that maybe the litmus test would just simply be, do you think Joe Biden won the election? That's just multiple times, and we just going to count that as the whether or not you actually genuinely believe that the election was stolen or not. I
Yeah.
think then it could be easier to say, because how I was thinking it was just certainly how far we go back. But I think, yeah, if you say right now, yeah, Joe Biden didn't win the election, I think that's much more of a statement on your part than just anything that might even been said spur of the moment back in 2020. I think that is like pretty fair in my opinion.
Yeah, we would only judge based on like their confirmation hearings when they're under oath. That would be most important, at least in my opinion. Anyone else want to bring something up?
Yes. So that's, I mean, that's an important point. So we're talking about removing judges, which would imply they've already been confirmed, right? So are we
Yes.
talking about just for confirming justices, or are we talking about for justices that are actively adjudicating?
I'd say justices that are confirmed.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that's different because then you don't. I mean, that then you don't have all the slot, right? Like if you're going after active judges, that's one thing.
Well,
But if
it
you're
would be
just-
active judges. There have been
Okay,
a
so
series
yeah.
of judges confirmed by this Congress that have been said that are
Okay,
that are
so
election
you
deniers.
would go back then and
Yeah, we would
Yes.
recall any. I think that only people from 2024 would be eligible for recall. Maybe others, but definitely the ones from 2024.
okay. And though, but then there's different mechanisms for different states, right? So some of them would have to go to referendum, I imagine, right? Where they, if they're judges that are elected by the people, then you would have to similarly let the people decide, and then there's no guarantee that it's even that they're even going to get the call, but they would be impeached at least.
I think that you would have to impeach them in that case.
Yeah, you would have. But okay, so then if you okay, so who would do the impeaching? Would it be each individual state, or would each individual process for each state would have to individually impeach their own judges?
Well, I think we'd stick to federal judges. That's basically what spurred this
Okay.
on. Was the idea is that. Well, this is a good question. If we want to extend it to, it's a really great question to ask. If we want to extend it to state judges, this was only limited federal. If someone wants to go state or make the argument for or against, I'd be interested.
I mean, you would have. If you're going to do it, then I would rather it be done constitutionally, even by the state's constitutions, for sure. What does Chris B think? Maybe he's listening. So unless there's like an amendment, unless there's like an all-inclusive, anti-Trump amendment, and this goes in it, and that's when I would, support circumventing the state constitutions. If there's something on the Supreme Constitutional level. Who's the judge that we most want to impeach and remove right now?
I don't know. I don't know if the name matters as much. There's just been a slew of
Yeah.
judges who can't confirm Biden, and they that have been confirmed by this Republican administration. I just think it's unsustainable to have these kinds of people continue their work as judges.
But those are the ones, and like what's his, Mr. Stalker was saying, those are the ones that have already, made public statements one way or the other. So are we just going to wait for them to say something, or
No, it would be the ones who have already said something. Like I said, there's been many who have been asked, and they have flunked the question.
So only those. That would be easier if it's only the ones that
Under oath,
have,
could
Yeah.
not confirm it after being asked multiple times.
well, that's like that one. Yeah, there's like one or two that have been public. I don't know if that would be enough to make a change. So that's like the other side of that.
I feel like there's been more than just one or two. I think that there's been. You can Google it. It'd be a good question.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Let's see. Someone else talk while I'm researching this.
Okay. Oh, bipartisan. Okay, so several judges appointed by Donald Trump himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's see. Which judges specifically? I want the names! Exclamation point. Okay. All right, so here we have some. Okay, and we also have so we have some federal judges appointed by Trump, and we have state Supreme Court justices. All right, so the federal judges appointed by Trump, we have Matthew Brand.
Hi,
Major
Muscab.
League-
Thanks for joining. Sorry, you were saying, Matt. You have a few names.
Oh, I'll just go through the list. We want to name names, like for as much as it's worth in this little context. Let's get their names out there anyway. Matthew Brand of Pennsylvania, Stefanos Bibas of the Third Circuit, which the circuit judge is pretty high up. Judge Mark Howard Cohen of the District Court of Georgia, Michael Scudder, U.S. Appeals of the Seventh Circuit, Kavanaugh. No way. Let's see. Oh, this is. What?
Oh, we
they
going with
saved the best
Supreme?
for last. We
Kavanaugh
have
can't
Judge-
say.
Kavanaugh. It says Kavanaugh. It's tough for me to say because I'm shocked. We have Gorsuch and we have Caney, but Coney Barrett doesn't like Trump. I thought. But all three Trump-appointed Supreme Court justices repeatedly declined to take up or rule in favor of high-profile multi-state challenges, such as Texas versus Pennsylvania, which sought to throw out millions of votes. Repeatedly declined to take up rule in favor of the high-profile multi-state challenges. Okay, so that's more than one. Why? All three of them recused themselves?
I don't. That's interesting. So, but they were just asked. They weren't asked. Were they asked under oath? That's the question.
I don't think that. So I don't think they were asked. It says, but all three Trump-appointed justices repeatedly declined to take up or rule in favor of the high-profile multi-state challenges, which sought to throw out millions of votes. So they. Three Supreme Court justices refusing to rule on it is pretty bad.
I'll look at your account after Muscab. See if you're cool enough for a follow. I'd be down though.
Let's see. So if you wanted to go the state route, reliable conservative justice, Brian Hagdorn, Thomas Saylor, of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and Robert Bertino of the Arizona Supreme Court. more than 80 individual justices spanning the political spectrum, from liberal appointees to staunch constitutional conservatives. Okay, well, see, that's interesting because it says that. Well, let's see if we can find out who the liberal appointees are.
What a piece of junk! She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
Okay, appointed by liberal justices. So Judge Linda Parker of the Eastern District of Michigan, appointed by Barack Obama.
If I hit him right in the sweet spot, then we should be in for a fight.
Okay.
I mean, we
Oh,
don't have to. I
okay,
don't know if
yeah.
we have to go directly into like names
Yeah.
that extensively.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
point is just something's got to
Yeah,
be done about
that
this
wasn't even
situation.
them. That was talk for the Democrats. It was talking about when they were dismissing Trump's challenges in 2020.
Yeah.
But those first ones, though, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. Refusing to rule, three Supreme Court justices refusing to rule on multi-state challenges, which were
Let's blow it up. Why not?
relevant to throwing out millions of votes.
Okay.
It's crazy. I mean, that's your job.
Yeah. So what are we feeling? Are you on the for side now?
Sorry.
You've been converted.
I guess the higher up you go, the more for I would be for it. Like I would be, I would put Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Comey Barrett under oath and ask them, and if they couldn't, then yeah.
I feel like the thing is that they'll do now that they've got a lifetime appointment. I think that they'll do it and they'll say like, yeah, of course he won, because like there's no value in them saying no
Yeah.
any longer. The big thing is, and the same with these federal judges. If you ask them again, they'll of course say yes. The thing was that in order to get the role, they had if they said in their hearings, oh no, of course Trump didn't, then Trump would pull them and find someone who would. And so of course they had to be obtuse about this whole situation. So now if you ask them again, of course they'll say absolutely Trump that Biden won. The point is that you got to ask they made their statements under oath. I don't really foresee this going, I don't foresee this being used to go after Supreme Court justices, though it could. I'm not expecting it.
That's the ones I'd be most in favor of, just because of the gravity of the
Yeah.
situation.
I mean, it's fair,
Uh,
but the only issue is that if you ask them now, they'll just say, like, oh, I've got a lifetime appointment, so no. Haha.
But I don't think do you remember during the State of the Union when Trump was walking down the aisle and Amy Barrett gave him the death stare, and it was like all over the media.
Yeah.
So I mean, did she? I want to see what statements. I mean, other than using to rule on these cases, which is, and that could also mean, when they just defer it back to the lower courts. But at the same time, I'm not sure. So let me see. What these Amy? Let's see. Okay. Notably, she participated in the decision to deny a high-profile lawsuit filed by Texas against Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, which sought to invalidate those states' electoral votes. The court dismissed the case due to lack of legal standing. I mean, the fact that AI can't even give me a
I mean,
direct
AI.
answer
I
is-
feel like AI is like programmed not to touch on controversial things in detail, but maybe. Except
Yeah.
Grok, of course. Is Grok trustworthy? I've had good experiences with it, but with Elon, so I'm
it's
kind of
Elon,
scared
I
of
don't
it.
trust Elon.
Yeah. I love that he keeps trying to make it not woke, and then it just keeps like returning to quote unquote wokeness. It's my favorite genre of Elon posting.
And then they're never like when people ask Grok about Elon, it'll say like he's lying, and they'll community notes his own posts.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even care anymore. Like he's getting away with literal murder alongside Donald Trump and some terrible sex crimes. So
Yeah, these people are.
if you like, there's people that have accused him. Like I don't know if you saw that post, but him, his brother, Trump. They're saying like, and then like Dershowitz or whatever his name is they were all there at this. I don't even know if I want to say it, but underage sex pageant or whatever, and Donald Trump was there, and like they were doing shit to the girls while they were doing performing or whatever you want to call it, and they were all there, right? So like how I don't know. I think he thinks it's beyond reach, and at this point,
Yeah.
he might be right.
It's part of one of the reasons why we need. I think we have to make like a really
Oh,
big.
David's raising his hand.
We need a really big 2028 plan, because I'm also really worried that when 2030 pops around and the census happens and all the NIMBYs screw us over immensely,
No,
we're gonna need some some real vanguards in the in our system, in our institutions, to keep us safe.
yeah.
Francis Fukuyama was like, I like the deep state. It was a pretty funny moment at a conference I was at, the liberalism conference I was at last year.
I'm a no NIMBY. I'm a no NIMBY. Yeah, one of the biggest crises of our time, obviously, is the housing crisis. And
Yeah.
the fact people are, resting on their land essentially, and excluding other people from housing that is needed by society is well, it's untenable, and it's immoral.
Yeah. There's an account on TikTok where they have screenshots of MAGA arguing with an AI thing that's human, like they really want it to lie. Check it out. That's some weird people out there for sure.
I have a particular set of skills that will come in handy.
Oh, David wants to come. Hey, David. Here we go. Hey, David, how's it going?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the party. Hopefully you weren't waiting for long.
A few minutes, but it's okay.
All right. So we're in the middle of talking about this this process. I think we're soft. I think we're soft approved so far on recalling these justices. Basically, it's just individuals who, during their confirmation, were not able to say that whether or not Joe Biden won. We were talking about whether or not we should have, like, because apparently Kavanaugh has not been very forthright with whether or not Joe Biden has won. So we're actually having a discussion of whether or not this should extend to Supreme Court justices, which would definitely be quite a shakeup. Curious what people.
Okay, but
yeah.
why would they get a pass after they're confirmed?
Guess they wouldn't.
Because,
I'm always really scared of like doing things that would trigger civil war. But I mean, I agree that it's the behavior is pretty unacceptable.
Yeah, so I mean, during the confirmation would be the easiest part. The question is, are we going to go interview judges under oath and ask them if they think I mean, that does smack of a little bit of Spanish Inquisition. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel. I don't feel right about that, and the fact that it almost like it's going to be a massive use of resources depending on how it's orchestrated, and I do want to adhere to the state constitutions. So if you're going through all of those processes individually for each judge that you want to even potentially remove, I just don't see how that's going to be feasible. What do you think?
Do you have any idea of how many judges we're talking about here, David?
I do not. No. Well, hold on. You know, there's a little thing called the internet.
Computer up some
How
internet.
many judges have been confirmed
Imagine most of them can't confirm.
second term?
Yeah.
Okay, there have been 272 judges confirmed in Trump's second term.
I'd imagine quite literally all of them are election deniers.
You know, I doubt most of them get into that, actually.
Why would
You know,
doubt
60
that?
judges for the U.S. Court of Appeals, 206 judges for the district courts, 3 judges for the U.S. Court of International Trade. I mean, I don't imagine it comes up very often. And I don't know that even Trump could find that many election deniers, right? It's like, you know, 272. Can you imagine vetting 272 people at your company? And you're talking about, you know, these are judges. They've got to be qualified. There's only so many people to pull from. And he's going to want to keep out all the liberal, progressive, and otherwise leaning judges, right, to begin with. So I imagine that he's just, you know, he's confirming every judge he can that is not explicitly left-wing. Now, probably, you know, there may be a lot of lawyers at the circuit court level who were, you know, friends of Trump and his cronies, maybe. But, and that's why, you know, I'd also be concerned that maybe it just didn't come up during confirmation. It may have come up afterwards.
Or before. What if it came up before, or because that's the alternative. If you're acting on evidence that it's not like you're trying to investigate everybody, but acting on good faith evidence that is either submitted. I'm all for a tip line. If these judges that you know have been engaging in election conspiracy or different, may not have their oath of office under, or whatever they take under the best solemnity or whatever. I'm not saying
You're cutting out a bit.
okay, but yeah, that's what. So that would be, you know, that would, I think that would be feasible and practicable, where a grotesque amount of resources, like the entire DOJ apparatus.
You're cutting out way too much, Chief. In any case, let's see. Yeah, sorry, man. I can't hear you anymore.
Oh,
Do you feel like, I guess, Dave, do you feel like that there's a chance that Republicans will eventually take control of office again, and they will use this as a preface to basically, like, pull every judge they can imagine, and recall every judge? If we start recalling judges, like tit for tat is always a big concern.
I don't. No, I'm actually not very concerned about that at all, because the reality is that we have not been impeaching nearly the judges that we should have been. And I'm talking about obvious corruption, bribery, criminal acts, Just recently, I saw on the news a judge that was having like an affair in the office with a police officer, right? And these types of things, they never get impeached. And especially when, and even if there isn't like outright swaying of the votes, it's very important that our judiciary not just be fair, but it has the appearance of it at all times. It's in the, most states and federal government have it in the Code of Judicial Conduct or whatever they have that's similar, saying that, it's, it's a violation of your office to even have the hint of unfairness and impropriety.
Yeah.
And we got to get back to that. We have to enforce that. And, enforcing that is Congress saying, look, you have, given hints that you may be acting inappropriately, right? And that is not allowed. It shouldn't even be suspect. So, and if you're being careless, Clarence Thomas and all these trips and so on, honestly, I don't know that it comes to the level of outright convictable bribery, right? If you were to actually get it into court, would it pass the preponderance of evidence? I don't know. But it sure has the appearance of impropriety, right? In the U.S. Supreme Court. And we've got to get away from that. We really need to have a higher standard for our judges at all levels. Not just the U.S. Supreme Court, which, of course, it should go without question that the people there have the highest moral character when it comes to honesty and fairness. But even at the state level, because people's lives and freedom depend on that. And so even more than Congress or the president, we've got to have a high standard for judges. And currently, I'm not even sure they meet like a congressional standard of propriety, and that's pretty freaking low.
Yeah. I was going to tell you, I'm really depressed with the level of just like what we're willing to tolerate these days is actually kind of insane. That like the fact that Ken Paxton won his primary is, I guess, shocking, but like, good God, like, could you find someone worse actually? Like, did they really just look and like, all right, can we find the worst? It's like, what were his crimes? It's like corruption, obstruction, conspiracy, bribery, fraud. Like letting out a child predator out early.
And let's bring it back to our side because, I think Graham Plattner is really making it more and more difficult to criticize Republicans when every day it seems like there's some new scandal. And it's like, guys, is this really the standard that we're holding ourselves to? I mean, yeah, he's better than what's going on at the White House, but can't we set the bar a little higher?
No, do you think they have... Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt one more question. Do you think they have more opposition research on him? Because he has not won the primary yet. Technically, that's in like another 6 days or something.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm scared that like Susan Collins has this treasure trove that she's like ready to drop when he's official.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You keep your powder dry till when it's really time, right? Unless they've become idiots at this, which I wouldn't put past them, because there's so many things that, MAGA is just doing stupidly that any even amateur Republican in decades past would not do. Not even just because it's corrupt, just because they're not helping themselves win the election. I'm thinking right now, when it comes to mind, that we've basically run out of oil reserves, right? And we've got months until the election. So the price of gas is going to start skyrocketing here pretty soon.
Oh, please.
As bad as it is with all the stuff going on in Iran, we have been cushioned from the full effect of that because of oil reserves. And if this was a George W. Bush presidency, he would have held on to those reserves, until a couple months before the election and then released them and said, hey, look how much better I'm making things, right? Not Trump. He released them right away because he can't stand for a day to have the press say bad things about him. So as a result, it's going to get really bad before the elections. But so
Yeah.
that said, maybe they are throwing all their stuff out there. But if they've got anybody with half a brain, and this is Collins, so I expect that they do. She's been in there for quite a while. Then they're holding on to their best Oppo research.
Is that
Well,
true?
the
They've had-
text messages supposedly.
And that's another reason why you vet
Sorry, Jay,
your own
you're
folk.
like you're really cutting out, Chief. Sorry, what were you saying, Dave?
So this is why you really vet your own folks, is because the opposition's not going to hold back.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried about Maine. I wonder if, I don't know, I really wonder if Susan is just going to win it because Graham is kind of a mess a little bit, or if, like you said, Trump is going to throw it because he's, I mean, to be fair, we've got a few months before November to try and fix this.
What's his current polling at right now?
I think his goal right now in Iran, is to, I could be wrong, and Dave, you can tell me if you, I think it's to just, like, make Iran so uncontrolled, like, put it into a civil war, I'm concerned. Like, that he wants, like, the IRGC just, like, to take over in, like, different parts and just make it no longer one cohesive country. I don't know.
Oh,
I think you're thinking too much. I don't think Trump has that much of a plan. I think his plan is just to keep Epstein out of, the media headlines. And so no matter what's going on in Iran, as long as it's the headlines and Epstein isn't, I think he's happy with it.
That's slightly distressing. And by slightly, I mean incredibly. That's really it? I thought that, like, he had some sort of, like, vision. Just blowing things up.
Yeah, I'll point to a conversation we had in the Project Liberal Discord earlier today. But I agree with what was being said there, that Trump doesn't really care about the price of gas. He only cares about what affects him personally, and the price of gas doesn't. To him, that's for the little people.
I think he even said as much. I don't care what the price of gas.
yeah,
Am I
he's-
wrong? Yeah, I think he said that specifically.
Well,
Explicitly.
a couple of days ago, he says he doesn't care about the finances of the American people or something.
Yeesh.
But here I want to talk about this. I want to get David's opinion on it because it actually ties back into the honesty and integrity of judges and the impact on real people's lives for life or death. So North Carolina, 2026 in November has a referendum on the ballot about using supposedly justified lethal force against anyone that is seeking an abortion. And that is already passed the General Assembly and is going to a people's referendum in November. And without the North Carolina Supreme Court intervention, and I don't even know the demographics of it, I'm highly concerned that this could be, because it's actually proposed as an amendment against anyone seeking an abortion. So if the North Carolina Supreme Court doesn't intervene, then what happens? Like that's
Sounds like
That's insane.
It could go up to federal.
A few years ago, I would have accused you of just engaging in hyperbole and being extreme if you said something like that. And, I haven't heard about this, but, I'm seriously concerned about it. Yeah, and with the current courts, I still think at the U.S. Supreme Court that would die. But it could do a lot of harm before it gets to the U.S. Supreme Court because that takes time. So yeah, that's
all these psychos, even if it passes before it gets to the Supreme Court, there's going to be a lot of psychos that are going to take out their
Jesus
misplaced And it's gonna be like a purge, man. Okay, that's the worst case scenario. I'm gonna post this. Oh, Jesus.
You know, I'm just thinking back because this is how far our nation has descended. In 2016, you know, when Trump was reinventing himself to run for the Republican ticket for the first time, and he finally decided he was pro-life. You know, Republicans were shocked when he wanted to punish people for seeking an abortion. That was his proposal, because, you know, Donald Trump is really a narcissist. He doesn't really care about things like abortion, except when it affects him personally. He doesn't think about all of the details and philosophies that people who are pro-life and pro-choice think about, because
I mean,
Donald Trump
had
has the
dozens of
position of Donald
abortions.
Trump. But now that something like this come out, it's not just a shift in the administration. It's a shift in the people of America, right? Yeah. And yeah, House Bill 1232, a constitutional amendment to define life at fertilization, classify abortion as first-degree murder, and allow deadly force to prevent abortions. Wow, that's real.
That's real. And that's
Did it
already
pass?
it's already passed the General Assembly, and if the referendum passes, then it's an amendment, supposedly.
Man, this
Yeah.
is like, imagine just like being. That's the thing about abortion. I've said this before. Like, can you imagine a situation in which, like, if men could get pregnant, this wouldn't be a conversation. I cannot imagine a world where, like, men can get pregnant and
I
you have a
can.
one night stand with some chick, and then someone comes up to you and is like, "You're gonna hold this," and a woman comes up to you and tells you that you have to, like, keep this for 9 months. That's a woman who's getting punched in the mouth. Like, I don't see that ever. That's wild to me.
Man, world history is full of all kinds of cruelty. We live in such a wonderful, enlightened time relative to just about everywhere in the past. But things can go backwards,
Yeah.
and we need to stop it from going there.
Absolutely.
Like your life depends on it.
We did get off a track a little bit, which is fine, from the debate, which is, should we impeach judges? Feels like, by and large, we agree on it.
Yeah, and
It's good.
I think what we have to be careful with is we need to set better standards for what is and is not an impeachable offense. But it needs to be way more than kind of what Congress does right now, and that is that if you commit a capital crime,
Yeah.
which is really just redundant with being arrested, right? That's not what impeachment was created for, was for a failure of the justice system. It's there as a backup. But, you know, and I want to pull up the exact text of the impeachment clause. So the president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, right? And so what's a misdemeanor, right? Codify the misdemeanor. Well, there are so many things that the U.S. government can't even classify how many misdemeanor crimes there are, because it's just a ridiculous number of things are illegal. But it seems that Congress only sometimes enforces high crimes,
Yeah.
and not even now in the case of the president, right?
Dude gets away with anything.
So- Yeah, I would
That's why
say
think
bribery.
The DOJ should be appointed by somebody else other than the president, so they can be more independent. And ideally, oh man, maybe they should be appointed by some kind of like third party or something, so they can hold the executive branch accountable.
What if
I
it was
think-
like? What if like the American Bar Association actually like nominated the AG. Would that be cool, or would that be just ridiculous?
It's not ridiculous, but it leads to a dangerous controlling society, right? The bar can act as its own political party at times, with the issue being that there is no opposition political party, right?
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that just that concentrates too much power in too small of an organization.
Okay, maybe not that.
And it can create kind of a, what the U.S. was set up to against. It becomes kind of a royal title. They can become lords, and the rest of us kind of serfs.
What if the attorney general
do
was an
like-
elected position?
I do like the Bar Association as a qualifying organization, as a professional organization, saying that, these people have studied, they know how to do this, they know the rules of government and how to represent people, right? But giving it more power than that gets onto dangerous territory.
Okay. That could be a debate subject for another time.
It can.
Yeah, and might be. I mean, yeah, we should think decentralizing power out of the executive is reasonably popular, especially when it's supposed to be branches that are supposed to check the president. Because, man. But then again, the Senate is supposed to be checking, but the Senate's just like. Congress is just chilling at this
Hopefully
point.
it'll be- like whatever the anti-Trump amendment or the Trump fix, the post-Trump era MAGA rectifying constitutional amendment is, hopefully it includes all of this, right? From judicial reform, pass as many as you need to, but it'd be probably easier to get all the most popular bipartisan things together in one amendment somehow.
In terms of a bill, or are you thinking a constitutional amendment?
Constitutional amendment, 100%. I don't trust bills at this point with the tyrant on parade right now, and how easily it can be recreated. Like this needs to be a wake-up call. Like the Constitution is basically dangling from the thread right now. And if if major reforms aren't made, then it's not even dooming ourselves to history. It's just like saying we don't give a shit anymore. Like it's over, in my opinion.
Any other? I guess seems like we're all on the same page. Do we have any other? What's what I'm looking for? Like, we said it should apply to all judges. Okay. We're going to go after the federal judges. The handful of them, and take them out. And not like that, but like and have them recalled. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm on stream. I want to make sure that my face on screen. That you understand that we're
Impeach and remove.
Impeach and remove these judges who, during their confirmation hearing, couldn't confirm and affirm who had won the election. Here's another one. Okay, I'm gonna make this more complex. So I think we're settled on that. Let's move into a different question. What about the question, can Donald Trump run for a third term? Because some people, let me before you answer, some people have been asked the question, and their response has been something along the lines of, okay, look, technically, like, all amendments, all constitutional amendments, right, like the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. Well, there's obviously arguably some infringements, right? Right? And so the idea is that on the question of whether or not Trump can run for a third term, well, it would depend on what actually, like, the arguments are, has been what some people have been saying in response to that question. Do you think that's, like, a fair answer, or do you think that, like, that's not a fair answer?
I don't think it's a good answer. I think it's
That's ridiculous.
You think?
Well, I'll need to hear what. Well, I think I did. I personally 100% disagree with that, but I like to hear the. Not necessarily agree, but I want to hear what they're claiming is the quote unquote legal ability that Trump can have under that.
I mean, the idea is that the argument that the judges have said is that like what would happen is the case would appear before me, and an attorney would be citing relevant case law to me, and I would review that relevant case law, and I would make a determination based on what the prosecutor and the defense would say in this situation. That I don't have the most best. I don't have I can't give a direct answer because it depends on what arguments are being made.
So the 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Right? Yeah. And it goes on, but it just basically reinforces that first sentence. That's it. 2 terms, no more.
All right. Okay, if you're gonna read the Constitution at me. So how do you? Okay.
Yeah,
how do you? But then how do you grapple with the argument of there's always some sort of flexibility because cannot be infringed? Well, there's actually waiting periods now, and that's arguably an infringement. How do you argue with those that?
But those are ambiguous. Those are.
Cannot be infringed is ambiguous.
Yeah.
No. Actually, my argument there is we got to stop that. We got to stop that behavior. We have to stop infringing. And, if we don't like the text of the Second Amendment, amend it. We have a process. Parts of the Constitution have been removed before.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a way to do that. And there are restrictions that are allowed and have always been allowed as far as guns. But really, we've been allowing people for too long to try and do an end run around the Second Amendment. And that's how we get here, right? If you undermine any part of the Constitution, you undermine it all. And so you don't do that, even for the parts you don't like, because you're going to get it happening to the parts you do like.
But now we're gonna go into this Second Amendment argument, which is fine. But now then some people will be like, then cannot be infringed means I should get nuclear bombs and tanks and shit. I don't know. It's I think there's I don't know. It's
nobody's selling those. That ends up being just more of a hypothetical argument because nobody's building one. Nobody's selling them. And I think we can be realistic there. I don't think that you can have massive bombs, but I do think that the Second Amendment was intended to allow you to have, say, anything the police can, right? So I'm in Washington State. They keep on passing restrictions, and then they find that they're too extreme for the police, so they make an exception. Guys, sorry, that was not how the Second Amendment was written, right? So now you're infringing, you don't like it, and you can't do it can't be bothered to do it the proper and legal way by amending the Constitution. And then we're just making these exceptions. Well, if we can do that, then Trump can have a 3rd term. That's right. And if you can do that, we can restrict speech. We can make a mandatory state religion because we're just throwing the whole U.S. government out. And really what we're putting in is tyranny because it's whatever the person, our chosen leader, says it is. Liberalism believes in rules-based order, that society makes rules and we may not like them, right? That's always going to happen, that there are going to be laws that we don't like that are bad laws, even in the Constitution. And there's a process that society comes on together to change it.
Yeah. So you're in favor of impeaching them if they also cannot confirm that President Trump is ineligible for a third term. In short.
Yes.
All right. All right. Looks like we wrapped that up. Anyone else have something? Do they disagree with that? It seems like Dave is always very forceful. But anyone else? Anyone want to? You can also like devil's advocate it for fun, like I did.
And specifically, I would say it's the crime of violating their oath of office to uphold the U.S. Constitution.
I think that's fair.
I am not at all confident that the next administration.
Moving on. All right. So moving on, I'm curious if you have you been hearing about the drama going on in the Middle East, Dave?
Of course, I have
I mean, there's always drama,
multiple
so-
dramas.
The one that the one that popped up to the top of the top for me was specifically that Israel had authorized strikes and ordered strikes in Lebanon, and I think they even conducted a few. And then Trump sort of did the Wile E. Coyote, pulling the character off after they'd already walked off the cliff, like whoop, right back over, and now the strikes have stopped, and the truce with between Israel and Lebanon has been extended. What do you make of all that?
Well, first of all, we've got three people here. Three governments: the Trump administration, the Netanyahu administration, and the Ayatollah of Iran. And I don't trust the word of any of them.
It's interesting that you left out. I was talking about Hezbollah. You left out Hezbollah, and you left out the government of Lebanon.
They're not a government. They are simply a terrorist militia organization.
Oh, Hezbollah.
Right? They're
for
not
sure.
even the government of Lebanon.
Hezbollah
So yeah,
for sure. But they're
talking about three governments, but yeah, I don't trust the word of terrorists either. And terrorist organizations, Hezbollah, Hamas, Al Qaeda, whatever. They're all very much liars. But without a doubt, Israel's war in Lebanon is an impediment to peace, right? That's pure and simple enough. And Iran is willing to go to bat for Hezbollah. At least the government is. I don't know if the people of Iran are necessarily on board with that, but the Ayatollah's regime certainly is. And the people of Iran only get a fake vote. So to a certain extent, it looks true that Israel wants to propagate its war against Hezbollah and potentially the government of Lebanon, depending on who you believe. It's easily believable enough to me that the Netanyahu administration seems to want to take on Lebanon. I don't think this is going to be popular with the Israeli people come their elections in October.
maybe September. They
Israel-
might be dissolving.
The first Israeli occupation of Lebanon was not popular. And it lost support. And people have never, to my knowledge, no major group in Israel has asked for it back, said, hey, we need another occupation of Lebanon. And Israel is really overstretched militarily. Not that they can't handle Gaza and Lebanon, but if another actor entered play, they would be in trouble. And that's not a good place for Israel to be. I think most of the Israeli public probably knows that. It's also, it's not like the U.S. where only a minority of people serve in the military. Majority of people have someone close to them at stake in the military. So unnecessary military actions that can result in a lot of Israeli fatalities, they tend to go very, very poorly at elections. And really, I think that's kind of the best hope. I think this thing is going to continue until the Israelis remove Netanyahu. I think Netanyahu has something on Trump. I don't think it's just an alliance. I think he has probably like the Epstein videos or something. Probably Mossad and the FSB both got them, and they kind of have to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Trump kind of has to juggle what the two of them want.
Does that mean you subscribe to the idea that Netanyahu basically forced Trump's hand to go to war in Iran?
You know, it looks like it. It looks like it. It smells like it. I can't say that with any kind of facts. But
Rubio said it. Marco Rubio said
there
it.
is the perception of it for sure.
I believe Marco Rubio number one when he says that they attacked because they had to attack because they were going to get attacked because Israel attacked. Before he was told not to say that.
I mean, I don't. I think that Trump. My personal opinion on that, again, independent. I think that independent of whether or not Netanyahu ultimately forced Trump's hand, I think that Trump asked, like, okay, if we're going to war, you're attacking first, and the reason for that is if this goes well, Trump will take full credit, and if this goes sideways, as it appears it's going to continue to, Trump is going to go, well, they attacked first. I think that's why Rubio said it. I could be wrong though.
That's possible.
I think Trump has had plenty of times to get out of this and blame it on Israel, and he hasn't done that. He also could have blamed it on Hegseth or many other people.
He's starting to. There was a speech where
Yeah,
he said
he is
there was a
starting
speech
to.
where he's standing next to Hegseth, and he's like, you know, Hegseth, it was his idea. You guys know that, right? Like he said that, and Hegseth had this face like, I'm cooked. Fudge.
Yeah, and you know, as I said, it keeps Epstein out of the headlines, and he's kind of happy with that until Iran is going to drag him down too far in the polls, and then it's going to be somebody else's fault. There isn't a winning coming out of this conflict. The U.S. is not winning it. Iran is not winning it. I don't even know if Israel's really going to be able to pull off something that is a victory for them. Thing is, some wars don't really have winners, they just have survivors. And this is likely to be one of those. Everybody's going to survive. Nobody's going to win anything. They're all going to be worse off than before they started the war.
Including America.
That's
It's our depleted arsenal. I mean, I hate Iran. Like you were saying, they are definitely terrorists. It's like they hijacked a plane, but the plane is the country, and the people don't have guns. They don't want them, or a lot of them don't want them there. So it's like a hijacking, in my opinion. Minus the ones that are on their side that have guns, coincidentally.
Yep.
So, that's makes me sad.
As Vladimir Lenin said, one man with a gun can control 100 men without one. Right?
Yeah.
So that is part of the problem.
So going back to a previous topic, so you think our reserves are going to run out not too long from now, and that the price of gas is going to skyrocket? That's your call here?
Yep, I think you're going to see it this month.
This month, oh boy, that's terrifying. I feel like Platinum's
You
gonna
think
win
it's
right
high now?
It is high,
but the
my man.
reserve-
I got friends in California telling me it's $6 a gallon.
Yeah, and the reserves have been cushioning us from the full effect of what's going on out there. It's going to be bad. Europe's already feeling it. But yeah, we've been cushioned by our oil reserves up until now.
Part of me just like really hates that we've spent so long. It took us so long to get green. Because if we just like had, I don't want to. This kind of is a bad example because I don't want to be like we could conduct this war for so much longer if only we had gotten, more environmental policies down. But like, man, just being so hyper reliant on the Middle East is just.
We are not.
I mean,
Well,
Trump
okay,
Trump
let
is
me
doing. Trump did
fix
this to
that
himself, by the way.
misconception. we are not reliant on the Middle East. It's not where our oil supply comes from. The Middle East helps set the global price
Right.
of oil.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't understand this on the left and the right. Prices don't just go up because you can't get it. If you have local water and something goes wrong with it, what do? You go and get water from elsewhere, right? And that elsewhere you're getting it from, their price goes up. And people stop buying as much water. They find, because they use it for other purposes, they use less, so on. Same way with oil. People will stop driving their cars, except as they absolutely have to. It'll keep going up, and people will use it less and less, and the price of everything will go up. Get ready for some crazy inflation in the next few months leading up to the elections.
Sheesh.
Because everything
Not
moves,
ready.
a lot of things move by gas, right? So like all of the transit prices going to get passed on into the item price or the product price.
Yep. Because everything gets to the store or gets to your house with gasoline, right?
Or energy.
Or diesel.
Even if it gets there with electricity, like energy is fungible in that way, where if one type goes up, another goes up as well. So
Yeah, there isn't enough of a fleet
Yeah.
of EV vehicles, especially trucks.
yeah, yeah.
I've got my electric car. It's quite nice right now, being cushioned from those gas prices. But that's not how stuff is getting to me. Amazon does not have a fleet of electric trucks. Neither does the grocery store near me. So their prices are going up.
I hope Elon doesn't make another $1 trillion off this crisis. Can you see Tesla being resurrected from a gigantic Trump subsidy to fix the help fix the gas issue? By
I'd almost welcome it just because it focuses us on the. This dude wants to triple down on oil and gas. Like, it's so embarrassing to hear a president talk this way.
It would
It's
have to pass
mind-blowing.
Congress. I think that would be really difficult to get through the House, so I don't see it happening for Elon Musk. And Tesla is just getting out-competed by other electric vehicle manufacturers right now.
Yeah.
What would you think about just a generic subsidy for all of them, or at least continuing the previous subsidies?
The EV subsidies.
I think economically it's a bad idea. I think the price of oil is going to drive people there anyways.
But then how do they, or if they can't afford it because they're already broke because they can't afford groceries, how do they get an electric car?
Yeah, and, well, the thing is, we can't instantly flip a magic switch and make there be enough electric vehicles for everyone, right? It's going to be out of price for some people. The way a subsidy works is that we end up taking more money from people, mostly the people who are already hurting, right? Or we drive inflation up. There's a variety of ways to get the money, but all of them lead to making the condition worse, right? We have to fix the whole entire economy.
Yeah.
Now, there is good news on the horizon, is that while this price is up, it's going to drive oil companies to invest more in things they should have, refineries, probably some drilling some new wells outside the Middle East, and end that dependence on, or not end, but at least lessen the dependence on Middle East oil.
Yeah.
And it's going to really push the electric vehicle market. But, you know, the U.S. government is going to have a lot of things to fix in the next few years. When we get a Democrat Congress in and when we get post-Trump, I think it's a mistake to make this too high of a priority. Yeah, we've got some serious challenges. This is something that the market is capable of solving on its own, and to that extent, we should let it.
What if it causes an economic collapse because people just don't have the money, or they try to buy an EV and they overextend themselves and they can't pay it back? You know, it's I mean, I understand what you're saying, and we can't flip a switch and just materialize these EV cars. But what would be the okay? So maybe okay. So say we killed the Chinese tariffs, right? So then we can buy or import their cheap ass EV cars, which do work. They're Chinese
Yep.
made,
Yeah.
so take that for stigma for what you want. But that would be cheap for people and accessible, more accessible than a full-on EV. I mean, I've got an Ioniq 6, but it's on lease, so I got 2 more years of more comfortable commuting. But I am worried in the next year and a half. I'm gonna kind of be back on the market, or back in the position of. I mean, I guess I could try to buy the lease or whatever if I could afford it, but if I can't, then I'll be in that same boat.
I get it. The whole economy is a mess. We got to get Trump out. We've got to end these tariffs. We've got to fix our trade with other nations. At least I hope that enough people are learning why tariffs are bad.
Definitely not.
Because there used to be a lot of Democrats in favor of them. There are still too many Democrats in favor of tariffs. And it's horrible. Tariffs are part of a trade war in which both sides lose.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not saying that, tariffs should never be used, right? There are hostile nations, and sometimes it's appropriate to tariff them, but it should strictly 100% be a congressional power.
Yeah. So like prior to like 1970 something, when they rewrote the law, was it did Congress pass those?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was part of a backlash leading. So, a big major part of what contributed to the Great Depression was Republicans passed a package of tariffs, the Smoot-Hawley Act, that put on heavy tariffs and wrecked the American economy, leading to the Great Depression, right? And it was so bad, and Republicans appropriately got the blame for it, that they were not a major power in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. And afterwards, because Congress had done that, Congress kind of pushed the power away. They gave it to the president. And we're seeing now what happens from that, right? The idea with putting it in Congress is that you have to get hundreds of people to agree to it instead of just one old guy with dementia.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not diagnosing them, but
I will.
it may fit.
This guy is he's struggling. He's falling asleep. It's not looking good, man. Whew.
You see the his medical report that got released saying he had this the bruises on his hands because he's shaking too many hands
Yeah.
on both hands. Just doing the old crossover.
No, that was iconic. Iconic Trump. How much higher can gas prices actually go? Oh, dude, I feel like if it gets another $1 or $2 up, I don't even know. I don't even know if Trump can be punished. Do people?
You don't want
really-
the answer to that.
I mean, is Trump really going to pay for this, man? Like, his fans just seem to believe no matter what. They're just madly in love with him.
Too
it's
many years left.
it's crazy because I do check on some of what MAGA's saying, particularly in response to like what Project Liberal posts on Twitter and Facebook, and they're like, okay, but my state's better than California. Like, okay, but we're all objectively worse off.
No, yeah. It's,
But MAGA's just happy, sticking it to liberals, it seems.
gotta own the libs.
They're fine with any amount of suffering so long as liberals are suffering. But, most Americans aren't willing to go that far. I think even a lot of people are going to drop the MAGA camp as the suffering gets personal. And we're seeing a lot of kind of MAGA constituencies, like the minorities, are leaving as MAGA turns on them.
Yeah.
Curse your inevitable and predictable betrayal.
Did y'all hear that JD Vance's approval rating is higher than Trump's now?
Say again?
JD Vance's approval rating is higher than Trump's approval rating now.
I mean,
Uh,
that's upset. I mean, that's not great news. I think JD Vance is worse than Trump, but
I do too.
Well, I think it's just like some kind of historical data point where once that inversion happens, then
it's over.
something. I think it's over. But he's already in the second term, so what does that even mean?
Internet says true. The good news is that he's still at a 62% disapproval rating.
God,
Not enough.
Not low enough. Of all the people there, I think I think Rubio's my favorite, but like, yeesh.
I think they all need to be held accountable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Probably.
I have to agree with that. Rubio seems like the most sane of the insane bunch.
But he's willing. He's a willing participant in it. So
And you know what?
You can't get away with that.
I'm glad for that right now because everybody else in that cabinet is worse.
That's true.
It's not a question, he is definitely the lesser evil.
That's tough. That's scary. He's also like, I don't like the direction he's been going. He's going down the populist route as well, or like he's going down this, you know what I'm talking about. He's become one with MAGA. He used to be so proud of USAID, and now he's making excuses for not, he's making excuses for
he's
it.
turned into He's turned into a Trump tit sucker.
Here's my favorite thing about Rubio is that he is blocked from removing the U.S. from NATO by a law that he wrote.
Yes, that's true. What else is in the news today? Should I be scared to check the news?
Ugh. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I wonder what Susie Wiles is up to. Is she still kicking it with Trump? Kyiv hit by a large wave of Russian strikes.
What? Sheesh. How do you think, Dave? What's going on? What's trending right now is that like people are talking about how Ireland apparently has like this. I didn't see the video yet, but I've gotten the general gist that this Irish company sends aluminum to Russia or sells aluminum to Russia, which powers the war machine. And in general, I have a friend who's Israeli, and he was talking about how frustrated he was with like the grain shipment gate. That like there was a 2 shipments of grain that were going to Israel, and like people got very upset at it. Meanwhile, it seems like Europe enables Russia through a lot of trade and doesn't get, I think it's underreported, underspoke about.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I can talk about that. First of all, it's not Europe as a whole. It is select nations within Europe, right? And yes, it's true of Ireland, except it's not aluminum, it's alumina, which is the precursor element. That's part of how they're basically trying to bend things and get around it. But they're selling massive amounts to Russia to bypass sanctions and basically support their war machine, because all the missiles, all the planes, everything, all the Russian drones, they need lots of aluminum. And Ireland is making that possible. Right? And yeah, absolutely. They deserve every bit of criticism. And Ireland is being ridiculously hypocritical. They complain about, because Ireland is really big on supporting Palestinians and against Israel, and they complain about everybody who enables Israel. Ireland is currently doing far worse with these massive alumina shipments to Russia, who is engaged in not just genocide in Ukraine, but horrible war crimes and human rights abuses in many parts of the world, including fomenting just war and terrorism in the Middle East, right? Russia has always been in favor, basically, of chaos. And before the October 7th attacks, they partially enabled it by sending a big package to Hamas. Whether it was knowingly or unknowingly, it is not known, but without a doubt, they enabled the attacks. Yeah, and so Ireland is not unknowingly doing this. They're making a ton of money off of it. The financial receipts are easy, and this got exposed by just common Irish people basically seeing it because it was so easy to track. And absolutely, I think it's not too much to extend sanctions to Ireland. The problem being for the EU is that Ireland is within the EU, so they can't easily sanction a state, but they could sanction Irish companies if they were brave enough, and that would hurt a lot. The other one who's really gotten a major pass for this, besides the obvious Hungary, is Switzerland. Hungary's been at least criticized because they've been blocking a lot of things, but Switzerland has absolutely been a war profiteer, helping Russia throughout this whole thing. Now, at least Switzerland is suffering because in Switzerland's case, they were a major arms exporter, and their arms industry is just dying off because nobody wants Swiss weapons now, because a lot of countries had Swiss weapons. They wanted to send them to Ukraine, and Switzerland blocked it, right? And they won't even sell ammunition to anyone who's sending it on to Ukraine. So the whole world's going, oh, well, if you buy Swiss, then you're going to be stuck if there's an actual war, because they may not sell it to you, and they might sell to the country that's invading you. So yeah, those two countries in particular. Now, the other thing that gets criticized, and I think a bit unfairly, for the most part, is Europe's dependence on Russian oil. That was a decision many years in the making. It's something they can't easily change on. Russia lobbied the European governments for a long time to move away from, quote, dangerous nuclear power and on to wonderful fossil fuels. Yes, the same countries that are proclaiming how environmentally friendly they are had far more dependence on fossil fuels than the USA. Europe is dependent on liquid natural gas, on coal, and all forms of fossil fuels for all kinds of things. far more than the U.S., which has a lot of hydroelectric. We have some old nuclear power. We haven't shut down all our plants, and so on. The U.S. has a diverse energy reliance. Europe does not, but they are trying to move away from it, right? You can't go full blackout overnight because you put too much dependence on Russia. And that was a strategic move by Russia. They knew what they were doing. Now, some countries, again, notably Hungary and Slovakia, because of very kind of pro-Russian parts of the government, have not been moving away from Russia. But they've been hurt by it because Russia had no qualms about hitting the pipelines in Ukraine. So they were taken offline. And I think eventually those countries are going to be forced by Russia's own actions to move away from depending on Russian fossil fuels. And for those who are environmentalists and hate the overdependence on fossil fuel, Russia's fuel economy is dying right now. Their equipment is not being maintained. There are oil wells that are going down, and they're going offline, and they will never come back online. Especially with this high oil price right now, they're going to set up drills in other countries. This has been needed because even with this war going on, we were not opening up new sources of crude. They were just waiting for Russia to come back online. That's done now. Russian oil wells, they're offline. It's going to take a major investment to bring them back. There are other places they can go to, and it's now financially worthwhile for them to do so. And one of the things about Russia, oil is not just oil no matter where you get it from. Some places are cleaner, some places are dirtier. Yes, it's all putting carbon in the air, but you can do so in a way that's cleaner or dirtier. In the West, in the Americas, we tend to have much cleaner oil drilling. We have better laws about the environment. We don't waste as much, and the crude itself is not as dirty. So it's going to help the environment a lot more just to shift away from this Russian production. And in the long term, I also think that this is still going to drive people more and more to shift towards electric vehicles. Electric vehicles have their own environmental issues. As it becomes more common, we'll get into more of that, what the cost of lithium mining is. But regardless, we're going to move away from this pure fossil fuel dependence. And it's going to be generations before people forget this, what's happening right now. You know, in the 70s, there were lines. People didn't really move away from it much because there was no alternative at the time. And that's different now. You know, my family has one gasoline vehicle and one electric, and electric is looking much better now.
Oh, yeah.
We're using it more and more for everything.
I want my next car is going to be electric for sure, especially after all this lunacy in the Middle East.
And we would have more electric vehicles right now if it wasn't for the tariffs. If you're a Japanese or Korean auto manufacturer, you don't know what the tariff is going to be, so you're not sending so many vehicles to the U.S. You're not going to play the tariff roulette. When there's not going to be tariffs,
You're cutting out a little bit. Is he cutting out for anyone else?
I can hear him. I didn't hear
Oh,
him
I get the
too bad.
occasional, like, maybe it's because something else is open. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So when we take the tariff power away from the president, those companies are going to be far more comfortable that they can predict what their selling price is going to be, what the value is, how many electric vehicles they want to put on the market. But that answer is going to be a lot more. So that is the best thing better than subsidies is to just take the tariff power away from the president. And then you're going to see so many more electric vehicles for sale in the U.S.
You know, like all those companies that are scrambling to build factories because of the existing tariffs. So
Most of those factories are being built outside the U.S. Yes, there have been some. I wouldn't say they're really scrambling. They're trying to hurry up the ones they were already building. But nobody's looking to build more. If you build a factory in the U.S., you're getting hit with tariffs on those vehicles going into every other country, like Canada, whatever. You build a factory in Canada, you can sell to the world other than the U.S. at a known price, right? So, markets being global, for the most part, you're looking to build new factories outside the USA. You want to finish the ones you already started in the U.S. to get that domestic advantage, but the new factories are going elsewhere.
well, that's what I get for taking Trump's word for it. All the all the factories, they're all coming back. Don't you remember they're all coming back?
Yeah, where? Who's building new factories?
It's the dumbest thing
Who's
in the
placing
world.
orders?
Of course, because like the thing is, you would never build a factory based on a tariff created by an executive order, because they can just be repealed like tomorrow. So it's wholly unreliable. Like why would you ever? Why would anyone think that something that unstable would be something to base the building of a factory upon? It's insanity.
Well, I mean that's part of the reason we're in this mess right now.
You realize there's an
Like, say
alternative
one
future where there's an alternative future where Trump just rides the economy out and then dismantles democracy off a great economy. Like you gotta like some of the world's like greatest dictators are watching from hell, just like, come on, man. A monkey could have dismantled democracy at this point. And you're just like, you didn't have to do these tariff things. You could just play nice with everybody. Put a bunch of election deniers on the federal bench. Just quietly dismantle the government and just take in supreme control. But instead, unpopular war, terrible tariff policy and econ policy, just mistake after mistake. Did you guys see Dave Rubin made like the critical error of going on Jubilee Surrounded? Did you guys watch that? Oh god.
No, I don't watch Dave Rubin.
He was getting debated. So Jubilee Surrounded, which is generally I don't like Jubilee, but he got debated against like it was a debate with him, and he struggles, man. MAGA struggles when you're outside the hug box. You know what I mean? When you actually have to like give examples, they're not good at that. That's a little tricky for them, I've noticed. It's the secret debate strategy. The Omega
Providing
technique.
evidence.
Go up and say, how did Trump make your life better? And it's like it's like, what are you even, whoa. What?
Yeah.
You know what's getting overlooked right now? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say about the Tyler Jubilee debates is that I might be wrong with this, but what I've heard, or at least some of the debates I've seen in the past, is I feel like the way how they do them is usually not always. There's definitely probably some debates where they seriously did go find some people who were pretty knowledgeable on topics, but what I've seen in the past, at least and some things I may have heard in the past, is that they sometimes go around trying to find people who are not that knowledgeable on topics to be the people who are going to try to debate the person like these surrounded topics. So
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like clip farming type deal where it's like, oh, you don't even know that X happened, it's not obvious. And I'm not saying all debates are like this. There's probably couple debates where they actually did find some people who are pretty well knowledgeable on these topics, but honestly, I wouldn't be so much surprised that they, a lot of them are like this because they're obviously clip farming and obviously trying to find these sort of things or, drive up viewership. And that's not to say that people who go on these debates are dumb, like per se, like the people who are, like the one person who's getting debated, that person is dumb. But I just think that I would sometimes would like not really try to be like, but I think it is sometimes like, you know, kind of could be said that if someone has a whole debate on like these sort of shows, it might, you know, be something that they're even worse on like actual debates, like with people who are competent and all that.
The people in the middle? The people in the middle are generally smart. Ruben, I don't know. I wouldn't have made this decision.
Yeah, I'm not saying
The
Ruben's
guys
smart.
like Mehdi
I'm just saying
Hassan
that,
had some major idiots on his thing. I don't know what the hell,
Yeah,
where
I
they
think-
found these imbeciles, but
yeah, I think that's like some of the evidence some people have claimed is that, yeah, that Mehdi Hassan debate, like they, you know, they found people who are like, you know, it was just kind of like not even basic competency on topics.
yeah, I agree. Besides, I wanted to ask Dave. Sorry, I'm changing the subject a little bit. You said that Ukraine was a genocide. Is that because of military action, or is that because of the fact that Ukraine? I don't know if it's actually a fact. I think it's mostly confirmed that they're taking the children and Russifying them, the Ukrainian children, and handing them out to Russian families and the sort.
Yeah, that's one of the conditions for the legal definition of genocide. So, after World War II, there's UN Convention on Genocide, and they codified what genocide is, which, you know, it's a popular word these days. Oh, the other side is committing genocide. And, you know, I'll go there. Israel is often accused of genocide, and while I think there are war crimes going on, I don't think it fits the legal definition of genocide, right?
I think that,
Maybe it does. I think it's close enough that an investigation, maybe it's there, but there's nothing obvious that says it qualifies as a genocide. Russia, there's 5 key things for genocide. You don't have to do all 5. You're committing the crime if you do any one of them. And one of those conditions is removing the children and trying to take them out of the ethnic group. So they're not just withdrawing Ukrainian children. If they are preserving them in their culture and their identity, like you do with refugees, right? You help people escape. That's not genocide. When you take a people away and then you tell them, oh, you're not Ukrainian now, you're Russian, you can't speak your language, you have to speak ours, so on. That is an act of genocide. It's not just killing people. Genocide is about destroying a people as a group.
Gotcha. And for the legal definition on Israel, I think it's pretty understood. It's not it doesn't meet the legal definition. Because like when Amnesty and the UN and a bunch of other people have accused it, they've even said that the current definition is the bar is too high to convict Israel. So I think the general consensus from what I've seen is it doesn't meet the legal definition. If it meets the spirit is obviously maybe a different conversation.
Spirit of the.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. The legal spirit is.
The problem is a lot of people think genocide is, oh, that just means killing a lot of people. In which, you know, the death tolls in Gaza are not even in the ballpark of the civilian death tolls in Ukraine. And it can't be. There simply were never enough people in Gaza to begin with to get close.
You could get you could get percentages, but yeah.
No, there's more. There's like 4 times the number of Ukrainian refugees as the entire population of Gaza, right? Just if we're just talking numbers. No, and I don't think that it's bad just because of numbers. It's bad because of what's happening to people. But it's how things get misportrayed and misconstrued. Gaza is a city, and there are dozens of cities in Ukraine that have been leveled maternity hospitals directly targeted by cruise or ballistic missiles, right? That is an attempt to stop births from happening among the people, which is one of the conditions of genocide, is that you try to prevent them from having births. So all the hospitals in Gaza were built by Israel. Something people don't know. Hamas has never invested in a hospital. They take UN aid, they seize it, and they redistribute it. And then that's their wonderful acts of Islamic charity. We stole this and we gave you some of it after we gave most of it to our fighters first. Yeah, I do not have a favorable opinion of Hamas. Some people may not like my
cold
opinion
take.
of Israel, but yeah, I'm not too enthused by either group. Though I will say this, Israel is a democracy. It is not a terrorist group, no matter how bad the person in charge right now may be.
Continues to be.
So they have a democratic process to turn things around. And I'm hoping that that is what we will see by the end of this year. And I'm cautiously optimistic that that is what is going to happen. I don't
Hopefully.
think
Bibi's the
Netanyahu was never that popular to begin with. He kind of needed the war with Hamas to save his position. And just like Trump, he has criminal charges in Israel awaiting him when he's out of office.
Yeah. Sheesh. Now you see why, by the way, you don't want to have. What's so annoying about Israel is that they actually have laws that say you cannot be a minister of the Knesset, of their parliament, if you have criminal indictments, but it doesn't say anything about prime minister. So Bibi's actually, like, he's literally running on, like, a technicality. I'm not even exaggerating. Also, some good news. Apparently, Axios is... I'm sorry, I'm going to add one more thing. Axios is reporting that Trump is apparently going to drop the weaponization fund that he was trying to... The slush fund. It is... so hopefully that's happening.
Well, two judges already shut it down.
God. This is why... Look, we've horseshoed back to exactly why we need to impeach these judges who are just truly just Trump cronies. They need to be dumped. There was one, I remember Tim Miller said it was basically putting Catturd, if you know the ex-commentator, Catturd. Apparently we put Catturd on the bench.
Now, I will urge caution because I know some are going to say, hey, we should get rid of all the conservative judges. And no, we should not. It should not be an ideological purge. It should be a corruption purge.
Yes. What is that noise? I've heard it like 5 times. That beeping sound.
Is it from the game? I think the game is making noise.
Oh, okay. That's fine if it's the game. I didn't know. Oh, Dev wanted to say something. Sorry about that, Dev. I missed your request. How's it going, Chief?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is this a debate or just a conversation?
Well, it started as a debate, but we didn't have anyone who wanted to... We tried to, like, represent the other side, but most of us are pretty set with this idea that we want to impeach people because it's just... these people can't be allowed to continue. So, as a result, we moved on to talking about just current politics. If you had strong feelings about
Israel, Palestine?
We were talking about Middle East, yeah. If we wanted to, if you had strong feelings though about the 2020 judges thing, like go ahead, like let it rip. We're into it. We'll make a clip.
What is the context?
So
I'm
during
not, like,
during
that
the
educated.
confirmation hearings of a handful of judges, they were put under oath, and they were asked point blank who won 2020, who won the 2020 2020 election, which was Joe Biden, and many of them refused to actually give an answer. They just sort of like, Joe Biden was installed, which is true, but that's not what we were looking for. We're looking for Joe Biden won. And so as a result, I got the idea off those interviews or they're not interviews. Excuse me. The what is it? The confirmation
Testimony.
hearings. Thank you.
Confirmation. Sorry.
Confirmation hearings that we should if you during your confirmation hearing could not either affirm that Joe Biden won 2020 legitimately, or if you were someone who said that Trump is eligible to run for another term, then you should be recalled. And it seems like everyone agrees. But if you want to affirm or
But,
disagree,
yeah.
we're here.
I think I'm for impeaching them. My concern with everything to do with like people talk about when once we get back in power, it's it's a complete reformation.
Yeah.
What I'm scared with that talk, which I am for that, I'm for that, but it has to be done tactfully. It has to be done. You have to sell that to the American people. Like the American people aren't like in unison convinced that Jan 6th was like a horrible act, the desecration of American democracy. Most people are just like they don't know much about it. It was just like some people think it was just like a bunch of rednecks who went ahead and like protested, and it just got out of hand. They don't know like the fake electoral scheme and everything.
Yeah.
So you have to sell that to them, else it just looks like to some people, right? Some guy in Erie, Pennsylvania, who decides American elections, to him it might look like, oh, this is just Democrats going after
Yeah.
Republicans, and both sides are the same, right? So it all depends on like how you sell it to the American public, how tactful you are. Do you get
No,
what
I
I'm
fully
saying?
agree. I agree. It's really tough to. This also comes to other policies, like we're going to be talking about social media and the sort. This is going to be. There's going to be need to be a lot of like changes to the media and how in social media and how we consume media, because right now you can just scream at the top of your lungs and you'll never get into someone's algorithm, and so you'll never reach them. And so, but I agree. We got to make the case, and we got to figure out a way to jam that case through. It's vital for democracy. We can't continue, in my opinion, with the For You page. It's actually the biggest threat to democracy, and never, if not, I'd say
And
that's
you
true,
have
in my
to,
opinion.
and you have to pass reforms to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Because we can remove it, but you still have to, clean the wound, and sometimes you gotta amputate it.
I guess if I could, you want like to just put the I guess this conversation to another direction. What's y'all's opinion on the government like funded pre-K? Because I saw that was like one of the things that was like supposed to be discussed here.
Universal pre-K. That's not it. That's another week. I'm in favor. I don't know if someone wants to talk. If we want to move on to that topic, but I think that's just like I think universal pre-K is really good.
Some person wanted to be Sarenko. I think they wanted to be.
Yes, that'd be me. Okay. So, should a judge be allowed to to hold the belief that the Earth is flat?
Should a judge be allowed to hold the belief that the Earth is flat? That's a good question.
Yes.
You think so? Okay.
I like to ask if it would how would that be judged in the sense of how would that affect the court proceedings? Like, would they say something like on the topic of, hey, this company's been doing a bunch of crimes around the globe? They say, actually, it's a flat Earth, not a globe. You're wrong. Like, is it like the decision will be just like there's decisions on the like bench, and like how they judge will be dependent on that, or is it just like a real quirk of them where they're not going to change their legal judgment on that opinion, but it'll just be something goofy like, oh, this person's publicly a flat earther?
I guess.
So, a flat earther, in this context, it wouldn't have a bearing on any reasonable case they might come across.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's make a less outrageous claim and say that maybe they believe in young Earth creationism,
Okay.
which is which would be a constitutionally protected belief under the First Amendment, even though, by all accounts, it doesn't line up with reality.
Well, to that point, again, I think it would to be totally dependent on are the legal decisions going to be based off of that. If
Yes.
I mean, there will be, and yeah, there will be.
Yes.
okay,
So as long as this is a judge who isn't dealing with anything related to the election, which 99% of judges won't have anything to do with the election.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a simply political belief they hold.
Yeah. I would say though that
Then
let me maybe give a counter example. Here's an interesting question. What if you're someone who will? What if you're a judge that will never deal with? Like I have a crystal ball, and you as a judge will never have a free speech issue, but you are a firm believer against free speech. I still think you should go because you are against the Constitution. It's kind of
yeah.
I think that,
The issue. Oh my bad. Sorry.
No, I was done.
if a judge ruled against free speech, that we have an appeals process to guarantee that.
Yeah.
So, if we do have this case where we do have an election denying judge convicting someone based on, oh, you said that Biden won the election, or if there was a case where they would be surveying that, then there would be an appeals process that can say, hey, this judge has repeatedly denied the election. This is grounds for a retrial.
If I can
Or
make a quick
revisiting the
dividing
yeah.
line here,
Go for it.
I think someone who said, I don't think Congress should have certified the election, that's okay. They're expressing that as a personal view. However, the whole process went through and the government officially declared that Biden was the winner. That was a legal decision. And if a judge is running contrary to that, he is running contrary to the law and the facts. Again, if they think the earth is flat, that's a personal decision, but they're not supposed to decide cases based on their personal facts. They decide cases based on what is presented to them and what the official positions are, even when it runs contrary to their personal beliefs. So if they can't do that, that, in my opinion, is grounds for impeachment. They have to stick to the positions of the government, of the law and the Constitution, even when they don't like it, even when they personally disagree. That's the job.
That's interesting that you are good with it. You would find it acceptable if they thought Congress shouldn't certify the election. I know that's an interesting question. What's the distinction there? Like, I know it's a personal belief, but at the same time, it strikes me as. It sounds like it's almost as if someone's like, I don't. It's almost as if saying I believe democracy is bad. Like, am I missing something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one is like, okay, I don't think this should be the law. A judge may say, okay, I don't like this law, but they enforce it, right? Okay, yeah, I don't think this should be the law. I don't think that Congress should have certified it, but they did, right? So this is a law. This is what I'm enforcing. That's a judge's job. A judge is not there to enforce the laws they agree with or accept the facts that they agree with. They're there. They have to accept the facts that the jury decides on, and they have to enforce the law as written. So, and the fact that Congress certified the election, that is a government fact. Biden was the winner. There's no room for them to go against that. That is a violation of their oath of office.
The one tricky thing I have about that, the thing is that I
And,
feel like.
and with that, you guys can keep arguing, but I gotta go. Good evening, everyone.
All right,
Bye.
I'm gonna follow up with you on this on Thursday. It's not over. This is not over. See you, Chief.
Hasta la vista, democracy.
The reason I disagreed with that is because I almost feel like you're saying, I don't know if it's acceptable to have judges that like. Again, flat Earth is like, it feels like you have a judge that's running against what is the Constitution, where like, you know, maybe it is, maybe no,
Like
maybe
a
he's
sovereign
right.
citizen judge.
Because like whether or not Biden won, I might have to like, think about this again. Because whether or not, I might do a part 2 with Dave on this. Oh, Dave wants to.
Consider something like Dominion theology,
Yeah.
where America, where they say like America's a Christian nation,
Mm-hmm.
and we should work towards upholding religious law. And there's a law school, Regent University Law School, that teaches this stuff. Should those people be judges?
I guess so. My issue with the election thing is that, well, maybe it's a judge's job to disagree with other judges. I was gonna say the biggest issue with it is that what it does is it allows judges to, that they're basically, they look at the system, they look at the fact that they look at that, and they basically say like the system is busted and it's bullshit and it's broken. They're part of that brain rot, and I think that's so unhealthy for our system to have it. But I guess judges do disagree with other judges. Like it does
happens all the
happen.
time. That's
Yeah.
why the appeal system works.
Yeah.
And
it
a
exists.
judge who is frequently disagreed with, a judge who is shown to not have good judgment is more likely to have other judges overrule their decisions.
Yeah.
And here's the thing as well. I want to just quickly bring up is that the check and balance on that is also either existing term limits for some judges or the appointment process, and also or the election process for like referendum or however else it would be conducted. So, I mean, that's like there is a built-in turnover already in place for a lot of even if it's next term when I guess Newsom or whoever you want to choose can wipe out the appointments and reappoint it. So is there an imminent danger in the next 2.5 years or so that couldn't be rectified in the next administration?
On the judges thing, no. In fact, it would only be rectified in the next administration.
Yeah, but so I mean, there's already those other. I mean, we may not need to impeach then. We may not need to impeach remove. It'll just do. We can just do what Trump did and just wipe out the judges and appoint new judges, right?
Yeah, that's ideal.
So
The
I mean,
ideal
there's a
one.
whole other process that could be activated if need be.
Yeah.
So, is there a specific? Oh, I'm sorry. Thought you were done.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, except for the Supreme Court justices, they really need to be looked at, and I would make them reaffirm their oath to office, and I would litmus test them on the 2020 election.
Is there a particular like judge or case that led to this question being asked?
There was a confirmation hearing in which it was asked, "Did Joe Biden win the 2020 election?" And the judge the judge who eventually got confirmed said, Joe Biden was installed the president, but did not say he won. And that to me was that concerned me, because that I feel like things like that set the stage for someone to, Donald Trump is going to try to run in 2028. And if he loses, he's going to start going to these judges he installed and trying to get them to, trying to get them to basically confirm, to steal an election. And I guess I would say that's where this all started.
One thing that I think that matters the most for the discretion of the current array of judges that we have, and it's still going on, and it's not getting better. In fact, I'm going to quit teasing him. It's the ICE detention centers.
Yeah,
People are killing themselves
it's
every
insane.
day. That has been crazy. And the news has stopped covering it. There's still some protests that you see every now and again being covered, but these people are possibly being unjustly. No, they are. Okay. I was going to say, like, unjustly, unconstitutionally, if they weren't even under the pretext of being undocumented or whatever. But there's a whole bunch of people that are giving up and killing themselves every day. And the judges currently in office are really one of their only bits of hope.
Yeah.
So that's where it would matter a lot. And it makes me wonder if they're building those warehouses in like districts where they know the judges are favorable to them. I can definitely see that being an Arthur Miller type fucking.
Yeah. I think that's very likely, actually, especially in Florida, DeSantis and stuff.
Getting so angry.
Yeah, I fully think that's the case. In any case, you guys can keep going. I'm gonna cut stream. But yeah, feel free to keep going, keep talking. I have to cut stream though, and I have to get going. But thank you guys for coming and joining. And like, I hope you guys join us for other conversations.
Yeah, I like this, guys. It was pretty good.
Yeah, had a good time. Thank you guys.
Was.